African Research Universities Alliance, ARUA, is a network of selected flagship universities in Africa with a common vision to expand and enhance significantly the quality of research carried out by African researchers. The network has been operational since March 2015 when it was inaugurated in Dakar. This strategic plan is about how ARUA universities can more readily work together to increase significantly and improve the quality of research in the region and enhance innovation. The plan recognizes the strong relationship between graduate training at the highest levels and the research ambitions of the institutions. Africa's future will be determined by the effort that the region makes in pursuit of Agenda 2063 of the African Union and how such effort is amplified in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. While it is widely acknowledged that the contribution that Africa makes to the global generation of new knowledge is very low, there is every indication that this has begun to grow in the last few years. What will it take to accelerate even more significantly the rate of growth of such knowledge generation and application? This strategic plan is about how the member universities of the African Research Universities Alliance, ARUA, intend to make a much larger contribution to the effort of increasing rapidly the generation of new knowledge through research and innovation than they have done in the past. This initiative comes with the understanding that more than 95% of the generation of such knowledge in the region has been done or led by public universities, and that they are likely to remain in that unique position in the foreseeable future. The strategic plan seeks to position ARUA as the foremost network of independent public universities supporting the transformation of Africa with research and innovation. Now, sit back and be part of the historic launch of ARUA's strategic plan.
Short and brief documentary of that's for all of us. Thank you very much. Chairman of the ARUA Board, Professor Barnabas Nawangwe, who is chairing this afternoon's session. Professor Sizwe Mabizela, co-chair of the ARUA Board. Secretary General of ARUA, Professor Ernest Aite, members of the ARUA Executive Committee, all vice-chancellors of the member universities of ARUA, our funding partners, collaborators, and stakeholders and friends of ARUA, participants at the capacity building workshop who have been in Accra for the past few days, and indeed who are a distinguished physical audience. Friends from media organizations here present, colleagues from the ARUA Secretariat in Accra and VITS, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. So we come to the official launch of ARUA's strategic plan. It is my pleasure to call, in fact, he's here already, but to call on our Secretary General, Professor Ernest Aite, to proceed with a welcome and introductory remarks. Shall we welcome him?
Thank you very, very much, Mrs. Amwa, for your kind introduction. The need for ARUA to have a strategic plan is born out of the fact that as an entity, we have made significant progress and need to reposition ourselves for the future. As you saw in the documentary, ARUA was in 2015 That was we've been around for the past 7 years. ARUA has been driven by the agreement among the vice-chancellors who started it on what to do. So those sets of ideas and principles agreed are what have been driving ARUA and its work over these last 7 years. We do believe as a collective, it's about time that we concretized our ideas and principles and turn them into a working tool that will guide us for another 5 years. That is what has made it important for us to have this new strategic plan. It's basically a way of consolidating what we've been doing for 7 years and redirecting our energies in a manner that complements what we've done before. So for today's event, the chairman is none other than the chairman of the board of ARUA, Professor Barnabas Nawangwe. Barnabas has been our board chair over the past couple of years, and he's the Vice-Chancellor of Makerere University. Today, the past 2 days, we've seen arguments about who the best universities in the region are. Makerere claims, Mr. Vice-Chancellor, I hope you are listening. Makerere claims to be the best in the East African region. That is strongly disputed by colleagues from Dar es Salaam and Nairobi. But whatever it is, we are very proud of what Professor Nawangwe has done for ARUA and is doing for ARUA. We are extremely pleased with the leadership he has provided, and I'm very happy to invite him to make a few remarks in his capacity as the ARUA Board Chair. Barnabas, over to you.
Thank you, Anis. I want to recognize my co-chair, Professor Mavizela. I will recognize my colleagues, the vice-chancellors of the member universities of ARUA, the Secretary General of ARUA and your staff, our invited guests who have been invited to participate in this launch, and the participants at the workshop. I want to say that ARUA was formed maybe a little bit very late. We should have done this many years ago, because as you are all aware, Africa's contribution to global knowledge is very small, and all indicators show that it could actually be decreasing despite all our efforts. Obviously, we are all doing much more now than we did before, but we are competing with the parts of the world which are also trying to improve on what they have been doing. So for us to realistically compete, we must more than double our efforts. But we cannot double those efforts if we do not have a direction to follow. If we cannot measure what we do. And therefore, I want to thank the team at ARUA for coming up with our strategic plan. And I believe that the Secretary General will be taking us through it so that we can all understand what we are set to do and how we are going to do it. So I will leave it at that and just say we all need to double our efforts in whatever we do if we are going as universities to make a meaningful contribution to changing the situation of Africa. So welcome to the launch, and I'll hand back to you, Ernest.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very, very much. So I believe that at this point, Emmanuel and team will walk us through the pages of the strategic plan, and then I will comment on that after the tour of the strategic plan. Walking us through the strategic plan that we are about to launch today. When you turn to the page 24 of the document, where we present ARUA's value proposition, the point we make over there is basically that as a result of collaboration, as a result of working together, we want to leverage our resources and enhance our capabilities. And that is what exactly this is about. We intend to reflect in 4 areas where we talk about the ARUA in action, the 4 areas in which we will be engaged. The first is enhanced research. So each of these 4 areas, we have identified what we call the strategic focus areas. Where the with very clearly set objectives that we want to achieve in the period. So for enhanced research, there are 5 areas that we want to work in. We want to institutionalize the ARUA Center of Excellence model. So over the 5 years, we will be institutionalizing the ARUA Center of Excellence model. Today, we have 13 of these centers in different universities. We expect by the end of the plan period to have 20. Within the next 5 years, we'll be developing another 7 centers of excellence. We want to enhance interdisciplinary collaborative research. We want to enhance research capacity. We want to provide infrastructure and equipment while upgrading and sharing what we have. And then we want to increase our external engagements. So as we go walking through the plan, there are very, very specific interventions that we will be pushing for. And then as we push for them, it will require universities in each of our members to make their own plans towards achieving these things. So there'll be interventions in the area of publications, there'll be interventions in the area of infrastructure. The work that we'll be doing with the Guild of Research-Intensive Universities in Europe will, with support from the European Union and the African Union, be leading to complete overhaul of the infrastructure available to us for engaging in research. The second area in which we are interested in is enhanced graduate training and support towards what we call the African University. In the African University, what will define us will be increased mobility for faculty, staff, and students, increased mobility. So we are looking at this university made up not only of our members, but all the other African universities that wish to engage with us in a structured way. We are looking for enhanced access to resources and competences. We are looking at collaboration in the development of doctoral programs. We are looking at international collaboration in expanding the number and quality of PhDs and other postdocs. We are looking at infrastructure support to PhD programs, providing properly set up laboratories and so on, expanded financial support for graduate training and then postdoctoral opportunities and early career support. So the data that we've been discussing over the past 2.5 days help us monitor progress we are making in this particular direction, as indeed for all the other directions. Our third area of intervention will be institutional capacity for research management. In this, there are 4 areas where we want to pay attention. First one will be the framework for professional research management. In some of our member universities, there isn't a properly delineated institution for doing research management. We want to help everybody, all the member universities, to have properly set up management offices, developing the standards for research management, and then building capacity for research management. Today, we've been doing that for the institutional research. We want to do that for the research management also, and then providing mentoring and exchanges for the research management staff. A lot of the work that will be done in this area will center around the regional innovation and institutional management agencies that we have around the region: SARIMA in Southern Africa, IARIMA in Eastern Africa, and then WARIMA in West Africa. We will be working closely with all the various units that make it possible for us to function as a well-structured entity, able to deliver improved research management to support the work in our universities. The final area of interest will be advocacy and leverage. Here, we will be doing performance monitoring. That is exactly what we've spent the last 3 days doing here. We'll be looking at partnerships with regional bodies partnerships like with the African Union, with the European Union, partnership with other entities that are doing similar things like Ruforum, Carter, and others. We have already begun strong discussions with Africa CDC to enhance our vaccine development research. So these are the types of things that we'll be doing. We'll also be looking at partnerships with international university networks. In November, when we meet in Pretoria, in Cape Town, I will be inviting vice-chancellors from the Guild of Research Intensive Universities in Europe. We are working closely with them, and we want to see that expand. But that will not be a limiting factor in as we seek to develop partnerships with other regions, and so that's what we'll be doing. The multi-level stakeholder engagement. We want to work closely with African governments. We are all public universities. We depend a lot on national governments for support. It's important that the national governments know about the growth in the research that we are doing, that they know about the improvements in the quality of the research being undertaken in Africa, that this will be used for engagement in their countries, and so on. And of course, we want the African Union also to know exactly what we do. Very often in this part of the world, when governments and international bodies talk about what is needed and what has to be done, they very seldom rely on what is provided by the African universities. That has to change. And we are going to provide the evidence and the reason for making that change. We want to see growth in income and funding for universities as a result of the advocacy work that we'll be doing. We want to work closely with the private sector. So the strategic plan provides insights into how we want to engage with the private sector, how we want to engage with civil society in this part of the world, and also at the end of it, ensure that everybody knows what ARUA universities do. So basically, at the end of the 5 years, we expect to see new universities. We want to see new, more than 16 universities. We want to see a future in which the research done by African universities will be what will provide the evidence for international discussions or discourses on development. When the UN begins to think about climate change and what needs to be done in Africa specifically, it will be based on work done by climate change scientists in ARUA. It will be based on what has been done at UCT and the partner universities working on climate change. Similarly, when we are discussing food security in future at the UN or at the FAO or wherever, African Union, it will be based on evidence provided by our Center of Excellence on Food Security located in Pretoria and working with about 6 other members of ARUA. That's how the future of research has to be structured, and that's how the future of higher education in Africa will be tailored. We do expect a future in which there will be a lot of collaboration amongst ourselves and with other universities in other parts of the world. So ladies and gentlemen, that in a nutshell is what ARUA seeks to achieve over the next 5 years with support from the member universities and with support from our governments and from the international community. Thank you very much. Members of our executive committee to also make their remarks, taking into account all that they expect from ARUA, expect from the Secretariat, and they expect from the member in their own commitments. So I think on the first will be the co-chair of the board, Professor Sizwe Mabizela, who is Vice-Chancellor of Rhodes University.
Thank you very much, Professor Aritia. Fellow Vice-Chancellors and Rectors of partner universities, Secretary General of ARUA, Professor Ernest Aritia, and staff of ARUA, honored guests, Dear friends and colleagues, as a member of the Executive Committee of ARUA and the Vice-Chancellor of Rhodes University, I'm delighted to be part of this momentous event of the launch of the ARUA Strategic Plan. This is indeed a special day for all ARUA partners. It is a fabulous day for ARUA. It is a day to remember and cherish. ARUA is immensely fortunate to benefit from the steady and visionary leadership of its Secretary General, Professor Ernest Arietier. Thank you, Ernest, for leading this exciting initiative of our universities. Thank you for your passion and dedication to this noble cause. On behalf of Rhodes University, I strongly endorse this new strategic plan of ARUA. You see, we are stronger together. Collaboration, cooperation, and partnership. These form a leitmotif of this strategic plan. And we should all remember that the whole is greater than the sum of its constituent parts. As the Vice-Chancellor of Rhodes University, I place at the service of ARUA and our continent the facilities, skills, expertise, and talents available at Rhodes University for the greater common good. Rhodes University pledges its full and unqualified support to the work of ARUA and commits to make its contribution to the advancement of the vision and mission of ARUA. The challenges that face humanity in general, and our continent in particular, know no political boundaries. They demand of us to work together in a joined-up manner. They demand of us to cooperate and collaborate for the greater common good. Confronting the grand challenges of climate change, food insecurity, water scarcity, human migration, and others requires that we all work together. And if we are to realize the inclusive and sustainable development of our continent, we need to contribute new and innovative knowledge that addresses the human condition of all Africans. As you will notice, our strategic plan draws on the African Union Agenda 2063, the Africa that we want. And it also draws on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Let us use this strategic plan to advance the creation of new knowledge that addresses fundamental challenges that face us all. Let us free the creative genius of every African child to propel this continent to its greater heights. I thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Sizwe. May I now invite the Vice-Chancellor of University of Lagos, Professor Gundipe, to make his remarks.
Thank you very much, Professor Arietier. My fellow Vice-Chancellors. Sorry for the disconnection. So the chairman of the ARUA executive, I'm happy that we are seeing ARUA going from strength to strength. The University of Lagos has always been involved in the activities of ARUA right from the inception. And we are glad that we are bringing this networking into say that the University of Lagos, I'm sure we are aware, fully represented at this meeting that we are having in Ghana. We will be ready to collaborate with all the universities and the centers that are in the universities concerning this program, so as to actualize the strategic plan. In the University of Lagos, we have two centers of excellence. They are doing very well in collaboration with other universities in Africa. So this is coming at the right time, and I'm sure that we'll be able to meet the needs of the continent in the area of food security, in the area of climate change, in the area of renewable energy, housing, and other areas, including the youth employment. So I want you to know that University of Lagos is fully committed to this program. I will continue to do the needful to make sure that it becomes something that is well recognized with globally. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Professor Gundipe.
Thank you, sir.
We have a recorded message from the Vice-Chancellor of University of Cape Town, who is also a member of the Executive Committee. Professor Mawaketi Paki.
Hello, colleagues. I'm so sorry that I cannot speak with you in person. Instead, I'm recording this message from the UK, where I've been meeting with colleagues at the University of Bristol, Cambridge University, but most importantly, with UCT alumni and other friends of UCT. Africa has a great deal to offer to the world, especially in terms of addressing global problems. The many global problems that we know very well and have been engaging with for the world for many years, and the world is only coming to terms with now. But we cannot do so if we're working in silos. ARUA continues to create an environment of shared values and ways of doing things. And it's for this reason that UCT became a founding member of ARUA in 2015, and we continue to support the alliance. This ARUA strategic plan that we're launching today aligns very well with UCT's own vision in so many ways. Like ARUA, UCT is investigating new ways of building PhD support, lay the foundation for strong research and teaching in the future. We're involved in joint degree or co-tutel programs with universities in the Chile, France, Australia, Wales, the Netherlands, and Germany, and most recently with the University of Bristol. We have even started a conversation on whether African universities should develop our own standards and processes for conferring a doctoral degree. Harmonizing standards for the admission and supervision of PhD students, as proposed in the strategic plan, would be a welcome step in this direction, and it will help to achieve the goal of greater mobility of researchers within ARUA institutions. We at UCT are re-examining how we can evolve our research infrastructure to facilitate the rapid growth of interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary research, both within UCT and with other institutions. We are in the second phase of the UCT Research Support Transformation Project, with a focus on benchmarking, research finance modeling, systems, research administration, process redesign, governance, and postgraduate support. The objective of developing African universities beyond their current role as incubators for the public sector is, of course, necessary for universities, but it will also assist the public sector in the longer term. It will help to develop new business sectors and job opportunities within the continent, and will help universities to evolve a new way of supporting government as advisors on policies on a range of topics. Of course, this should not detract from the good work that ARUA is doing, particularly in our Center of Excellence on Good Governance led by Addis Ababa University. Rather, I hope we can expand on ways to support the public sector with research, pedagogy, dialogue, research forums, and the sharing of facilities and other resources, including public administration and leadership development. Last month, UCT designed a 5-year memorandum of understanding between our Nelson Mandela School of Public Governance and the UN Systems Staff College to develop and deliver joint executive education and academic courses, joint publications, and joint human capital development initiatives to help build public sector stakeholder capacity across the African continent. As ARUA's strategic plan points out, the work of member universities is to provide African perspectives on learning, training, and knowledge management related offerings for a global audience from the public sector and beyond. The strategic plan focuses on collaboration between our researchers and institutions, which is a key motivation for forming ARUA in the first place. But on a wider scale, collaboration is absolutely necessary to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals in Africa, as well as the African Union's Agenda 2063. As the strategic plan says in its preamble, how we approach these goals will directly impact Africa's future. This year in March, Professor Artey, speaking at the Science Business Hybrid Roundtable discussion held in Brussels, he made an excellent argument for a situation where global researchers will feel at home in Africa because they can do the same type of research that they would have done in Europe. And I support that argument completely. Any move that will strengthen collaboration between universities, whether it's within Africa or between Africa and other parts of the world, can only serve to benefit us all. So we should go for it. And it's there in a strategic plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Vice Chancellors and members of the Executive Committee of ARUA. We now come to the point where I invite the board chair to make his remarks and declare the plan duly launched. So, Professor Nawangwe, back to you.
Thank you very much, Professor Ariete. And thank you for the good job in coming up with this strategic plan. I want also to thank my colleagues who have wholeheartedly endorsed the strategic plan as the document that is going to help us to move forward. As I said in my introductory remarks, we are lagging behind still. We must break that. We cannot lag behind forever. We can actually break through. It is possible, but we must approach it with determination. And I'm glad that the ARUA universities have fully endorsed collaboration among ourselves. As my colleagues have said, if we put our efforts together, we can do so much more than what each one of us can do individually. COVID-19 taught us a big lesson that we must collaborate here in Africa or we perish. So I'm very happy that my colleagues have endorsed the strategic plan, which seeks to improve and increase what we do in our research and innovation as a team of universities. Already the centers of excellence have shown that this is possible. I have seen researchers from the different universities collaborating through the centers of excellence. And we see the results already that are coming out, which means this is actually possible. And this is the way to go. We must, of course, enhance our research. interdisciplinarity is the way to go. Graduate training is critical. As you are aware, the World Bank has declared that Africa should train 100,000 PhDs in the next 10 years. Actually, now it is 8 because they said that 2 years ago. 100,000 PhDs, which means we should be producing on at least 10,000 per year. Currently, all of us in Africa producing just 5,000, which means we must double that number to fulfill what the World Bank thinks. But I think the World Bank is also being very mean, because China alone, which has the same population as us, is producing close to 100,000 every year. So how shall we break this chain of marginalization and backwardness if we are told that we should produce 100,000 in 10 years? And yet we all believe that it is only through training more PhDs and masters that we shall be able to transform our societies. Universities have got that responsibility to transform Africa. And we can only do that through research and innovation. We must therefore build that capacity to train more of those people. And we can do that more easily if we do it jointly. If we can utilize the resources at the different universities to do exactly what we want to do. Let me just say, for example, if we say we have a center of excellence in energy, and we all put our resources there, and take all our students there and encourage all the other universities, which must also build their capacity to take advantage of the resources at that particular center of excellence, we'll be able to train very many people in energy, many more than we can do as individual universities. And that goes for all the centers of excellence we have created and those that we intend to create. Research management is extremely important. Many universities fail because even when they have the resources, even when the donors give them money, they cannot even manage the money. They cannot put the money to proper use. So building capacity for research is extremely important. And definitely we'll be looking to those universities that have developed that capacity to support the others, to train their research managers. Because without proper research management, we can be putting in a lot of resources and all those resources will just go to waste. So I must once again thank you, my colleagues, for endorsing this strategic plan. I know that in the audience there are representatives from our universities, the people who do the real work, and they are listening. And I hope that they take the message back to their universities. And the message is, let us collaborate or we perish. We must collaborate if we are to take Africa out of the chain of poverty. And we must stop just talking about it. We must act, and we must act together. Let me then take this opportunity and privilege and the honor to declare the strategic plan for ARUA officially launched. Thank you very much.
Very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Let me hand over to the official moderator of the launch ceremony.
Thank you. I think we need another applause for this historic launch. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to lean on the protocols that have already been established this afternoon. Indeed, it's been a historic hybrid launch made colorful and successful by the presence of all of you here and those who have joined us virtually. We are awed by your participation and we thank you. We owe a deep sense of gratitude to Dr. Brian Chickson of the University of Pretoria, who has worked tirelessly with our team of staff and consultants, Dr. Emmanuel Edudanso and Dr. Emmanuel Abe, and of course our Secretary General, Professor Ernest Aite, to produce this report. We appreciate this contribution, which will go a long way in the annals of ARUA. This ceremony would not have been successful if you were not available to participate in the launch. Finally, to all our friends in the media, you who will take our message and our story to the public. We know you will do so to give the required mileage, visibility, and publicity to ARUA. We thank our partners, cooperators, those who cooperate with all our stakeholders and friends who have made this launch possible. We have packages for you to take along. Of course, ARUA publications, ARUA at a glance for your institutions, as well as the strategic plan. These are available, or we will upload this historic session on our YouTube channel, on our website, as well as the documentary, which was produced purposely for this lunch. We thank you all for coming, and lunch is served to those who physically here. Those who joined us virtually, just raise your heart to ARUA and enjoy your lunch or supper. Thank you all for coming. Have a good afternoon.